Hello everyone and welcome back to the Land of Wanderers. In the last episode we finally beat the dragon and got ourselves a pair of wings. So I got a bit of work done in between episodes. I'm sure if you peek over my shoulder here you can see what that might just be. But that is not what we're dealing with today. Today we're making big steps towards making this village actually feel like a village. We're going to start making this place feel a bit more lived in. At the moment, the buildings, I like them, but they kind of just feel like they were just plopped down on a flat surface. There's nothing around them to indicate that people actually lived here. So on our plates today we have a bunch of terraforming and some landscaping to do to make this place feel a bit more like home. Except for there. We're not touching the farms today. We'll do that some other time. But before doing any of that, I think we should head back to where it all began. So for those of you who are newer to the series, we actually made a little spawn hut at spawn. Just in case I died without a bed between then and whenever that happens. Luckily, we haven't had to use it just yet. I've always had my spawn set somewhere. So according to the coordinates, that should be pretty much in that direction. So let's go check that out. And we're back! So for anyone newer to the series, this is where it all began. So the reason I've come back here is actually to have a bit of a reference of what I'm going at. So it won't be in this style, but like this place is small, but it feels like someone actually lived here. There's the little docks, there's a pathway, some stuff hanging around like a fireplace, we got our garden out back. It's really cozy, I really like it. So obviously the scale is going to be a lot bigger back at home, but something like this is kind of what I'm aiming for. And actually over here, I forgot about this. This was our useless super smelter. It's nice to be back here. I'm going to go ahead and borrow my own bed, and then we'll just take a little look around and then head back home. The secondary reason I'm here is I left some cool things in terms of decorative blocks behind that I kind of wanted to get my hands back on. So since we're here, I'm going to grab everything to do with lush caves so that we can have those at our disposal at home. Cool, so I've gone ahead and grabbed a bunch of moss, some mossy cobblestone, some plants, a drip leaf that I can do something with, and this spore blossom. So with that, I'm pretty content. We can head back home. So we've got quite a bit of work to get done today. I think we should start with my home. And before actually getting to work on any of the terraforming or the landscaping, we should probably fix up the damage that the creeper did last episode. So let's get that done first, and then we'll think about how we decorate the place. Side note, as I'm gathering the wood, that's our creeper farm over there, and it uses the design with cats. You can kind of see a little cat poking out right there. Some of you might recall that we had Mango up here guarding the place, but Mango is just one cat. So I'd like you guys to all meet Pickles. Alright, so we can now actually get started on adding some life to the place. So first off, I'll have to close off this creeper hole here. Then for the terrain, I want to, over here, connect this corner to that corner and kind of round it out a bit. And we're going to fill this in air quotes. So we're going to cover it up. And we'll do the same on the other side. We'll extend it a bit, because I want to add something over here too. So I've actually got that planned out already. I'll show you what the plan is, but just before so, we'll get to placing down some dirt. So as I'm doing this, this is going to be like a rough terraform. It's something that I've never really done all that much before. I'm getting used to it, I'm learning it. So what I'm more focused about right now is just getting a general shape in to make the land look the way I want it to. And then later in the series, when I'm more experienced and when I have more time, we'll actually come back here and maybe make like the outside of this like hill over here to the island, make all this look a bit better. But we won't be doing much of that today. I don't think so anyways. I might change my mind, but we're mainly focusing on just getting a bunch of the shapes down. Alright, so I came over here to get a bit of a better look from like a distance, and at first I was going to like make levels and slope this down, but I actually think having it a bit steeper and just like elevated kind of looks cool, so I think we'll leave it as is. Of course, all this terrain here will be touched eventually, but that's for a later date. like just for now, that looks pretty nice. I might just touch up right here just a wee bit, but otherwise I'm pretty content with that. Alright, so with that done, I suppose now is the time for me to show you my plan. So here I've done a bit of a drawing to show you guys and kind of I guess spoilers for the next one. So as you can see, we have like the terraforming done. So ish, we're missing this spot here. So we have the grass laid out, and this here I might not have gone out as far as I originally planned, but the idea is still there. So I got some pathways kind of laid out here. They're going to lead from the villager house to our house. That will get done pretty much at the end, I think. Otherwise, I want to build a small like artificial pond here, as well as have like a tree here. Let's get started on the pond. Alright, so I think with this cobblestone, I will go ahead and start just plotting out the shape of the actual pond. I think we'll bring it out just a bit more, and that should be good. I don't want it to be too like symmetrical or anything. Kind of just like, even though it's going to look a bit man-made, have it a bit wonky. I think that's a bit better. Alright, welcome back. I've gone ahead and dropped the pond down a bit. We've gotten it down 2 levels, and this is the general shape, and I quite like it. So I think the next step for me would be to work on the contour of it to make it look a bit better. Aha! Now we've made a proper mess of the place. So I think we're done with the contour. I quite like it. Let's get a bit of an overhead view. So this is what we've got so far. So I started off with the contour all with cobblestone, and then went around and messed it up with some walls, some stairs, some moss, and some stones a bit everywhere, as well as a bit on the inside. And I think I like how this looks. A bit overgrown, but not too much, right? Kind of fits with the style of this house, actually. So now what I'm going to do is the bottom of it, because we're not going to leave it just as dirt. So I'm thinking we use a mix of these blocks. So right here we have some granite, some gravel, and this is pale moss. I actually think that it looks kind of similar to the gravel without being too much of the same color. So I think that could be cool to put underneath on the bottom of the pond here to add a bit of variation without having anything that's too green. So here's the overhead view. I've gone ahead and messed up the terrain a bit more on the outside with some moss carpets, and I changed the terrain a bit here. But mostly, I've gone ahead and done the bottom of the little pond. I got some lily pads, some grass. I think the main feature is this little tree slash plant thing I've done right here. It took a bit of finagling. I wasn't sure about it at first, but basically what I did was took some mangrove fencing, built up a little tree, and then with some roots and some leaves, I made a bit of a shape. And the point of this was actually to have these glowberries hanging, to have a little bit of light in the area without actually putting down some lanterns. We might put some down eventually to light it up a bit more, but the natural lighting I think looks pretty cool. And I got some vines on the outside just to mess it up a bit and kind of hide the roots, because the roots were kind of harsh on the eyes otherwise. So I think this turned out pretty nice. What do you guys think? There's just one last thing I want to do, and that's actually to add some life into here. So we got this bucket of tropical fish, and we're gonna just dump them in there. Let's actually go get this guy a few more friends. And there they are, the fishy buddies. So with that done, next up would be over here to the other side of the house. We are going to build up a tree. Or at least I'm gonna try. It's gonna be about here, and I want to add a few more details to it. So I'll go ahead and clear my shulker boxes, get what I need, and I'll time-lapse this so you guys can see, but it'll likely be very messy. I'm still quite new to building up trees. And that is the tree. I think it turned out quite nice. I've added a bit of a little swing set right here. For me anyways, this might have been one of the harder things that I've ever built. This took, according to the replay mod information, 40 minutes to build, and that's not counting the maybe 20 minutes that I forgot to actually resume the recording. So this tree, I think, took me about an hour for one tree. But if we look off in the distance, I think it was well worth it. We are on our way to making this place feel a bit more like a home. So next up for here, I think we'll get to work on the pathways leading from upstairs to downstairs to the house over there. And then with the free spaces we'll have left, we'll see what we can do, because I think we can start a bit more stuff here to make it a bit more homely. Upon further inspection, this is me a few hours later. I think I find it a bit too peaky. Like it just like boom, shoots up too much. I think I'm gonna try and just round off the top here, and then we'll move on to the pathways. Yep, I think that makes more sense. That looks a bit nicer. Let's actually go take a peek from a bit closer up. So ordinarily, if you'd be playing in first person, you'd show up about here. And yeah, I think that's a bit better. That's an improvement for sure. Sometimes when I'm working on a project that I really am passionate about or that really enthralls me, I kind of tend to want to just sit down and get all done in one shot. I just get kind of lost in the project. Something that I learned years ago while studying music actually was that a lot of the best things, like I need to take a step back and let it just like rest for a while. So for music, what that would mean was, let's say I have a good idea for a song or a composition, I get to work on that. Then I'd actually have to like get it down, but then just let it sit there for a night or two. Just let it chill, and then come back to it and inspect it further at a later date when I'm not so like freshly invested in it. And this wasn't a day later, this was just a few hours later, but I think just taking a step back and then coming back later with a fresher eyes kind of helps. So if that made sense for anyone, or if that's helpful, then there you are. For the pathway leading from here to there and from here to upstairs, the method I'm using, and this isn't like originally my own, I've seen people do it this way and it's just what I've been sticking with pretty much, is like digging out the path and then filling it back in with the blocks that I want. So that's what I've been doing. Yeah. Then once that is done, I try to get like an overhead view to kind of see if I like the layout, and I do. I can either use the elytra, like in this case since I have it, or just like scaffolding or dirt or whatever. And I might speak on this in a later episode, I think, but we've started up a little family server to play on during the holidays, and since it's a new world, none of us have elytras, and the fun of that is that having to walk everywhere kind of reminds you of like, oh, here would be nice to have a pathway because it's kind of a pain to walk up this place, so let's build a path and it'll be easier. So I'm kind of trying to keep that in mind. So yes, I'm trying to make it look nice and lead from one place to another, but I'm also like leading it where I would normally walk if I were to walk one place to the other, and kind of have it make sense in that way. Next up would be choosing the block palette that I want to use, and in the sketch that I showed in the sketch that I showed earlier, path was gray, and I think it actually kind of fits with gray since this house looks more modern-esque than say like that thing over there or like that one, and it just kind of feels like if a richer person were to have a house, then they'd have like stone pathways or something, right? So we'll stick with that. And yeah, so I'll get that laid down and I'll show you afterwards. All right, once that is done, so I pretty much go in layers. I just take a look around and see if I like it, see if anything bugs me, and I like it. I think it works. It's nothing too fancy, but you know, it's just to lighten the place up a bit, and from a top it looks pretty cool too. If we head down to where the actual path is, this is what it looks like, and I quite like it. So what I might do, for example, here is I like to, when I make pathways, which I haven't made that many yet to be honest, but when I do, I like to make it so they're all walkable. Like, meaning that I don't want to have a place where we have to jump to like make it up. So something like that. Just so we can walk up and down without having to actually jump, right? Once that is done, this is looking a bit flat and like the edges are sharp. So we're gonna do the same thing we did over here with this, and just like dirty up the edges to make it a bit softer and make it look a bit more walked on. All right, we're pretty much done with that. Let's take a look from up here. So let's get a bit higher up actually. There it is. Can you see it? And there it is, zoomed. What do you think? So I'm quite happy with it. Like, it's not as clean as the drawing for sure, but I think it works being this messy because that's the style I went with on the little pond over here. So I think it works to have the pathways kind of fit with that. And you can still kind of see where they're going without it being like harsh lines, which I really like. To pull this off, and I'm by no means a pro, but to pull this off, my main victims when messing this up there is the corners. So like, see on the corner here, I'll add some path blocks and I'll fill in the corner to make it like a bit rounder. And I did that like over here, same kind of thing, bring it out a bit. Over here there's a corner, we bring that out. Here's a corner, we bring it out. Same thing over here. So like, I didn't do it with these ones, but like here, corner, take it out one, corners, take them out. And it just makes it like a bit more natural looking. Now what I'm going to do is just take a walk around here, take it all in, take a look, and see what I can add or where there might be missing something. Alright, are you ready for a tour? So I think it's best if we start off inside, and nighttime's coming, so this is just perfect actually. So first off, let's just take a peek through the windows. Can you see kind of what's going on? So if we open up here and come outside, take a look to our right, and we already had the pond done. You can kind of see the garden over here on my right hand side, and look at the little lights we have up. They're quite small, but they're quite cute. I had workshopped a few other designs, but these ones came out on top. A few that I tried were too wonky. A few were too big. I feel like small, like this size, being close to the houses, fits just well enough. I'm thinking as we head out towards the middle of the village eventually, then we can have some bigger ones. But for now, these are quite nice. So just around here, we can kind of see those glowberries lighting up, and a little garden that we put next to the house right here. Kind of rugged, kind of all messy with just some lilacs, some rose bushes, some sweet berries, and some leaves. But I think it really works. I think it really fits with the rest of the aesthetic around here while adding a pop of color. And I've done the same on the other side. Just right here. Now, I must admit that I've developed a bit of an obsession while doing this. Any guess as to what that may be? I am a bit obsessed with ponds at the moment. I mean, look at this thing. Look at that one. Look at this one. It's just so cute, and it fills up the space really nicely, I find. So over here, next to our swing set, we have a little pond. Okie dokie. So it's quite nice actually that we tested that at night, because like these ones, they came from over there and they walked over, right? Right here in this immediate area, these lights were sufficient enough to block out mob spawning. Like nothing was spawning here, so that's really cool. That's what we want. Let's go take a view from a bit further away. Now, would you look at that? I'm really happy with this. In the last few episodes, while like just wandering around here doing our things, I kind of started to feel that this place was a bit dull, because the buildings are just like plopped down, right? And that feeling was kind of exacerbated once I started the little family server during the holidays and we started playing on that. Because on that server, I pretty much just spent my time building my starter base and just decorating everything, and it was so lively and it's really cool. This, by comparison, felt really like boring and lame and plain. Luckily, that's not the case anymore. So next up, we'll be doing the same thing to this building over here. We'll be adding some decorations to the side, maybe on the back. But for this one, I think I'll just bring you guys back in when I'm actually done, since it's going to be a similar process to what we did over here. And I also have that house to do, that building to do, as well as that section over there. So to not have this episode be too long, we'll just have to pick up the pace a bit, and I'll slow down and bring you guys back in when we have something interesting. Or like for this house over here, we have a bit of a different plan than for these ones, since they're houses and that's not a house. So quick side note for anyone who's made it this far, you might have noticed the audio changing quite a bit during the episode, and that's normal. I'm sorry. Please bear with me. I've been trying to make, especially the sound of my voice, sound better in the microphone, like make the actual audio quality better and clearer so that it's more enjoyable for everyone. But it's been arduous, so it shouldn't change anymore from here on out. I hope it wasn't too jarring. Please bear with me, and I hope this is a bit better. Now, would it be annoying if I transitioned every time doing that? Anyways, we're done with this section here, so let's take a quick little tour. This one, I went a less intensive than over here, but I wanted it to make sense. So coming over here, we have a little mailbox for the villager house, and going on the theme of this being a villager house, on the left-hand side, we have a little play set for the kids that would be wandering around the village. So this is our little swing set and a seesaw or a teeter-totter, whatever. Right here. Now that I'm looking at it, I realized that I actually forgot a detail. So let's fix it right here. There we are. So this makes just a bit more sense. So we've got a little playground here, just with brick and some spruce mainly to fit with the house. Kind of just like rustic. Once again, to fit with this style. And I've made a pathway here that isn't like an actual road. It's just like where the kids would run off and dirty up and like not have the grass grow as much. So I've gone with this kind of loose design just to show that there's something here. And I put bone meal a bit everywhere where there was like just some flat ground to make it a bit more lively. And then I've gone around and just cleaned it up a little bit. And this is the result. I've done the same nearing my house. Like so. Alright, so with that done, we are now on to this house here, which was not exactly our starter house, but it was the first house we made here as we were kind of moving in. And we're done. Here we are. So I've turned this little house into kind of a graveyard. We should probably go sleep. Alright, if we're fast enough, we can watch them burn. I was already gone. So the idea is that this house here would be the gravekeeper's house. So we've got our little walkway up here, which will connect to the rest of the village when it's there. But for now, it's just kind of leading up to the house. On our left here, we have the actual graveyard with a little monument here. Not a monument, but a little mural. And we have something out back. So let's take a closer look. So like before, we have a little walkway here that doesn't require any jumping, just the way we like it. So as we walk towards the graveyard, we are first met with a little tree. We have another one on the other side, and they are identical, and they're really small, and they're really symmetrical, which I know is like typical no-nos for custom trees, but in this situation, I think it works. They're really clean, but in my mind, this works, and I'm imagining that the gravekeeper, though fictional, would be really tidy and would really make sure that the upkeep on the place is up to date and really neat, just to honor the dead and make sure that, you know, everything looks nice for everyone. So we actually have our little graveyard over here with some varying tombstones. I just made stairs with a bunch of different rocks and stuff, as well as some like ones that are more like pillars, just to vary it up a little bit. It's quite small. Got some flowers. It's small, but the village that was here was small. And the idea with this being a graveyard is that when we arrived here in episode 3 or 4, I believe, I don't quite remember. For anyone wondering, it would be the episode titled "We're Moving Out." That would make sense. So in that episode, we came to the village from that direction, and there was like a village here with, I think, about 7 to 8 villagers. Later in the episode after that, we noticed that they were all gone, and I'm assuming what happened was that with me being around doing my things and not skipping night all the time, they just stayed out too late and got killed by zombies or skeletons or something. Over to the other side of the house and going into the back, we have a little garden here. Nothing too fancy, just like little walls. We have like a few little levels here with different flowers. And this is where the not the gardener, but the gravekeeper would come to gather his flowers and prepare the little flower pots to put in front of the graves. Just keep it nice and pretty. And on the little mural here, we have a little word. Here lie the bodies of the founders of blank. That's right. We have not come up with a name for this village. That's where I need your help. If anyone has any ideas for what we can name this place, then please leave it down in the comments. But for now, it's blank. Here lie the bodies of the founders of blank. May their sacrifices mark the beginning of our prosperity. A hopeful message. And hope we will need, because these guys, they're not the brightest cookies. Like they're taking turns putting their head into the torch. For some reason, the villagers have no survival instinct. But with that done, I'm quite content with this little area. I'm ready to move on to another project. By the by, this was all done on stream, so for anyone who might want to join in on that, I don't have a regular schedule for now, but most likely on the weekends, near the evenings, Eastern time. Like say anywhere from 6 to 9 p.m. I'll likely be streaming when I get this like off-camera work done. So if you want to hang out and just talk with everyone, then we'll be there. So next step would be our little tree factory house woodworking thing over here. I have a few ideas for how we're going to decorate the outside, but first off, we're going to head up inside. For those of you who recall, when we built this, the whole plan was that we'd grab saplings, plant them here, grow them, cut them here. So that way we wouldn't have to go out cutting wood anywhere else, and we could contain like the podzol mess that spruce trees make. I just thought the concept was cool. That's why it's open in the middle. However, and I think it's because of the roof design as well as those torches, it's not big enough to grow half of the trees. Anything that's small and straight, like a 1x1 spruce, oak, birch, that's fine. But the cherry trees won't grow. The dark oak won't grow. The spruce, when it's 2x2, won't grow. Basically, this thing is a flop. But that's fine. However, we're not going to leave this as is. We are going to have to renovate a bit. So I have a little idea for here. I'll get that done, and then we'll actually move back outside and get the rest of the landscaping done. Alright, so I think this is a good time to bring you all back in because we are experimenting. I'm going to try a trick that I saw on one of Marlo's videos. I think he used it a few times actually. So here we have some light blue stained glass and some blue stained glass. And having the two shades was actually a mistake. I started off with light blue and then didn't pay attention and made blue stained glass, but it actually works out. We'll be able to use this to our advantage. So the plan here is to once again have a kind of like a little water source slash pond, but indoors. But I want to make it a bit different than the other one, so I'm not just using the same trick all episode. So what we're going to do is start off with a layer here of the darker blue glass. And then we're going to leave like one free and then do another layer while also filling in the wall all with stone for now, just to have it be uniform. And then here on this layer, I think we have enough. We'll use the light blue stained glass. So we actually ran out, but that's not too bad. We'll try with the blue stained glass here. Maybe it'll just make like a shadow effect. All right, so let's take a look at that. And this is what it looks like. It's not quite what I was expecting. Alright, so I've changed it a bit, and I think the problem might be twofold. So you might notice that right now we no longer have the shaders on. And already, with those being off, the effect works more. So the effect that we wanted was with the blue stained glass to make it seem like this pool is like infinite, or at least really, really deep. If I go ahead and turn the shaders back on, with the water being so clear, you can like too clearly see the delineation where the glass starts. So it kind of ruins the effect. So I'm torn right now. All right, so I brought you all into my creative world and we're going to just try something. I'm thinking maybe if I make a gradient on the walls to kind of like aid in the effect, maybe it'll be a bit better without having to give up on the shaders, but I'm not quite sure. Maybe this could work. That actually looks like deeper than it is. Of course, we can still see that very clearly, so maybe if we switch this out and we just don't grade it up anything too light, so maybe like this. Yeah, I think that sells the effect a lot more. So now let's just see if it looks odd against the spruce. So in our building, the outline would be like this. So of course, between the spruce, switching to the blue wool is like a really harsh change of colors. But like considering that this is supposed to be a pool, I don't think it's that bad. And it really sells the effect a lot more. All right, come and take a look at this. Doesn't that already just look worlds better? So of course you can kind of still see the outline of the deep slate, and to be fair, it's nighttime, so it's kind of making it look better than it actually looks. But the effect is still working. We could do with dropping the wool layers down even more, and then the deep slate be even further down, and it would sell the effect even more. But I think that's something that we'll do on stream. This, gathering the wool for just this, took 3 hours. I may or may not need a wool farm sometime soon. Alright, so we've gone ahead and put in a walkable walkway here in the center, which I guess is the point of a walkway, just to fill in the space a bit, and I think it looks pretty nice. You could like walk over instead of going all the way around, and you can kind of see into the water source here. So we might add some decorations, but at least with this here, limiting the view that you have, you can't really tell that the deep slate doesn't go deep enough and whatever. The effect works more because your line of sight is limited, I find at least. I think we'll do like we did with our little pond over there and just go get some fish to fill in the hole a bit. And they're in there somewhere. There they are. Right there. So with that done, we can actually now finally get on to... Can I make it? Nope. We can actually get on to terraforming and landscaping around this build. Alright, so it turns out that I didn't actually plan this out like I did the other one. So, off the cuff, we're going to build a path. It's going to come out this way, kind of zigzaggy. We're not going to do too much over here for now since the sugar farm is there. And yeah, that's it. On this side, as well as maybe towards the back, but on this side here, we're going to make a bit of an area to actually chop the wood that we can't do on the inside. And that should make sense with some other maybe knickknacks around, but that's the main plan-ish. So for everyone who spotted the creeper in the last clip, yeah, he won. Alright, so I'm thinking around the side here, pretty much the size of this wall should be good. We'll just wall out a section, maybe that should be a good size, and we'll make a bunch of fence gates. We place them like such, we get this little design. Yep, I think that looks nice for now. Let's see how we can spice it up a bit. I'm thinking perhaps near the wall here, we could use some campfires, extinguished ones, to make some pallets kind of. And like over here, kind of like a pile of wood. Alright, so something like this makes sense to me. We've used the fireplaces. Campfire. Campfire. Build up some pallets, and I've just used trapdoors to kind of connect them. Otherwise, like, the second one's just floating. Got that up, and it's time for bed. So we've got that, and we have a little saw, which I figured make more sense than just more planks. As well as a chest for storage, but realistically I won't be using this. There's not much going on here, but at the same time we need the space to plant the trees and cut them down, so we'll leave this pretty much open. Welcome back! You might be wondering why I look a wee bit different. Let's catch you back up to speed. In between now and that last clip that you saw, we streamed, and the goal was to get some more shulker shells, some extra wings, and I was really ambitious. I wanted to go get netherite and upgrade my gear. The end rating portion went well. It was all on stream. We got 17 shulker shells, which are over here. And I managed to get 3 extra pair of wings. Where things kind of turned south was when we went to the nether. If you've been watching me so far, you might have an inkling as to how good my PvE skills actually are. I figured it was wisest to actually find a bastion first and then go get netherite. Well, ancient debris. I found a bastion and I died not once, not twice, but 3 times. And in the process lost all three spare pair of wings. Actually, the only wings I have left are these ones, and they're not my original ones. They only have mending. They don't have unbreaking, so they're not the greatest. Now, the plan was to just finish up the building here and finish up the episode, and sometime later when we have more gear, go back to the Nether and try to get the upgrade. But I'm kind of stubborn. We went back, and the plan was to find the bastion that killed me the first time, go on top of the roof, dump a bunch of sand like around the chest, and then just yoink the template. I found a bastion which was supposed to be the same one, but I couldn't get myself situated. It didn't look like it was the same one. So what I ended up doing was I got up to the top, shot down some of the piglins, and then probably the smartest thing I did was put my wings into this ender chest just in case something went wrong. And we snuck down and found a template, which is right here. So now we're never going back. I also got a soul speed 3 book. So I will definitely duplicate this a bunch of times, and all I have left to do is gather the ancient debris, which I will likely do on another stream, which may or not may have been done already by the time this episode comes out. Hey there, we're done. So last we were here, we did the inside, and let's see what it looks like from here. Get poked through the window. Yeah, that looks really cool. We worked on this little section here where we actually chopped down the trees, which obviously now is all podzol because of this beast. And you can probably hear it in the... Oops, gotta cover that up. You can probably hear it through the game audio, but I've done something underground. So essentially all I've done is ripped off the collection system from the sugarcane farm here, that concept, and I moved it underground underneath our little section here where we chop down the trees. And what this does is it picks everything up that falls. So when I chop down the trees, I don't have to stick around to gather the saplings nor the sticks, whatever. I can just chop them, do my things, and then come back here and get everything afterwards. And it deposits it here. But I thought that was pretty cool. Just a little extra. So this way, when I chop down trees or whatever, I always get a return on my investment. And we've gone ahead and done a simple little pathway leading from the front door to over here, and from here to over that ways. Here is a bit of a further away view, and I think it looks nice. It's a bit simpler than what we did over there, especially, and even over here, but this has been dragging on a bit. I've been working on this episode for nearly a month, I believe. And I kind of want to do some other things, maybe some more exploring or just building some other things. So before I get tired of it for good, we'll just put this project on hiatus, and then we'll detail it some other time. But I'm thinking I'll wait until I get some more buildings and then like maybe blend them together so I have a kind of a shared style. But for now, just this makes me happy. It adds something. As for the buildings over here, this one, I didn't forget it, but we're gonna wait once again because I have plans for this that go a bit beyond the scope of just landscaping, so we'll do that in another episode when it's a bit more fitting. So with that done, everyone, this is where we're saying goodbye for today's episode. It was a bit of a lengthier one. Happy New Year's to you all. We have a bunch of plans for 2025. Now, sometime in between episodes, we are going to go and get some more ancient debris, and trust you me, we will get our netherite upgraded armor. Now, what I want to know is I have the coast armor trim, the spire armor trim, the eye armor trim, and the sentry armor trim. What do you guys think I should put on my netherite armor? Should we stick with one? Should we mix and match? And what color accent should I put? I'll be sure to check out your recommendations. But with that said, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.